Now, I know I don't need to remind you, but just to be clear, we have been living a global trauma for a very, very long time. As occupational therapists, we are not immune. In fact, healthcare professionals are more at risk for adverse effects from this trauma, burnout, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic trauma. Due to the nature of our work, we've been directly impacted by the pandemic, but our personal attributes, the ones that drew us to working in healthcare, also put us at risk. I have good news for your weary souls. Post-traumatic growth is possible, maybe even likely, if we can do a few specific things. In this video, we're going to talk about stress, trauma, and resilience, the 5 domains of post-traumatic growth, and how you can promote post-traumatic growth in yourself, in your clients, and your coworkers. Now, if this is your jam, I sure would appreciate it if you'd hit the like and subscribe button, and maybe even that little bell that notifies you when new videos come out each week. I'm Carlin. I'm an occupational therapist who works in mental health. And over the years, I've worked with a lot of high achievers. These are big thinkers, big doers, and really big feelers who have hit a crisis in their lives. This includes countless healthcare professionals who have had to withdraw from meaningful roles in their lives, including work. Quite often they're off work due to depression, anxiety, trauma. This is hard but rewarding work, and it's really exciting to have been able to see many of these people come out of this crisis and go on to thrive, reaching levels that they wouldn't have been capable of had they not been through the adversity. First, let's talk about some different responses to trauma. So let's imagine this is your baseline level of psychological functioning. You're going along, living your life, something awful happens, and you dip down to a lower level of psychological functioning. And some people get kind of stuck here, somewhere down here, and they need some help getting out of here. Many people, in fact, most people, get to this place back to baseline eventually. The timelines are so different for each person. This here is called resilience. This is just getting back to your baseline. We often give resilience more credit, but resilience means you went through something and you got back to normal. Great, that's a good thing. But in some people, they go beyond there and actually grow to levels above their baseline. And this is what we call post-traumatic growth. Growth that goes beyond your baseline after a traumatic event. Now, this isn't to say that your options are normal PTSD or post-traumatic growth. No, in fact, you could have all of them, or you could have 1 or 2 of them. There's a lot of individual variety. So how do you know if you or somebody around you is experiencing post-traumatic growth? 2 men did some research, Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun. They interviewed many, many people who went through a traumatic event, and they noticed that some of them demonstrated post-traumatic growth. And in fact, the ones who did demonstrate post-traumatic growth did so in 5 specific domains. The first one is personal strength. Many people found their strength through adversity. They learned how strong they are. Some of them had that experience of, well, if I can live through that, I can live through almost anything. And they learned to apply their strength as a result. The second one was new possibilities. This group of people embraced the new possibilities that wouldn't have been possible without the difficulty that they went through. This includes creative opportunities, opportunities for altruism, increased empathy, and even finding more meaning and purpose. The third domain was relating to others. Many people found that their connection to others increased, that going through this difficulty connected them with others, allowed them to be more compassionate and empathetic, which are positive indicators for healthy relationships. The fourth one was an appreciation for life. The people who demonstrated post-traumatic growth definitely had a greater value on life and appreciated life more after the event. And a fifth was spiritual change. Many people, after going through a really difficult experience, have explored their spirituality in a new way in order to make sense of it all, in order to understand, find their place in the universe. They also found a number of commonalities in the coping of people who demonstrated post-traumatic growth. Those are coming up in a minute, but a little foreshadowing. If you're an occupational therapist, you're probably already doing some of these. Now might be a good time to mention that I support occupational therapists. I love coaching occupational therapists to support them in reaching levels of satisfaction, fulfillment, and vitality in the way that they are living and working. So if this sounds like something you need, I'd love it if you'd reach out to me. I'm booking calls right now, so shoot me an email and we can get you all set up. If you're in more of a contemplation phase, that's cool. Just subscribe, hit the notification button, and you'll be notified of other videos coming up. So how do we encourage post-traumatic growth? First, we give it time. We just have to give it time. This happens in its own pace. We're going to go through a lot of muck, and that's okay. We just give it the time it needs. And as we're giving it the time, we want to make sure that we're not turning away from the difficult experiences that come up. Experiential avoidance is a thing that we know actually increases distress in the long run, and sometimes in the short term. Experiential avoidance means that we aren't making room, we're kind of numbing and avoiding the things that create those negative thoughts and feelings. So we want to be able to just sit with them. And how you do that, right? It's kind of tricky. So sitting with those difficult thoughts and feelings is the acceptance part, actually, of acceptance and commitment therapy. It's allowing, it's making room, it's being curious, it's allowing all of the sensations, all of the things that come with it to be there in their own time. We don't have to figure them out, but we just need to be able to feel them. And then you want to connect with your social supports. Each time you talk through your traumatic experience, you're processing it a little more. And if you have a safe social support, or a few who can listen and be there with you and help you explore them with curiosity, not try to fix them, that really helps you to get through this difficult time. The next thing is to know that growth is possible. Just know that there's this possibility that you're not going to come out of this damaged goods or something like that, that there's this possibility that you're going to come out of this either back at your baseline or in a phase of post-traumatic growth. In fact, it's actually more likely that you'll experience either getting back to your baseline, that resilience, or moving on to post-traumatic growth than it is that you're going to get stuck in a difficult place. And of course, I wouldn't be an OT if I didn't point out the value of engaging in meaningful activity. The research that Tedeschi and Calhoun did showed that people with higher levels of activity actually did better. So higher levels of activity, social support, and ability to sit with those difficult experiences really helped people to be able to process the trauma and move on to some post-traumatic growth. And this doesn't mean getting so busy that you're actually avoiding the thoughts and feelings, because remember, experiential avoidance is not helpful. So you want to be able to just engage in activities and not withdraw entirely. So overall, psychological flexibility really helps us find meaning and purpose in our difficult experiences. It gives purpose to our pain. It even promotes creativity and post-traumatic growth. In my clinical mental health work, as well as my work coaching other occupational therapists, I use a lot of acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. And the big objective of ACT is encouraging psychological flexibility. So if you're an OT who's stuck, feeling a little withdrawn, maybe a little burnt out, and you would like some support in moving on to the really important and creative things you want to be doing, we need to talk. As I mentioned before, I'm booking calls with visionary OTs who are feeling a little stuck and want some support in building psychological flexibility and maybe even some post-traumatic growth that will allow them to live and work with more authenticity, fulfillment, satisfaction, and vitality. Send me an email and I'll get you booked in for a call. I'd love to hear if you've already noticed some positive changes as a result of living through the COVID-19 pandemic. Comment below and share your experience. Maybe you'll inspire some other people. I have a new video out each week, so please subscribe to stay on top of what's coming. You can also watch this video here on getting out of your comfort zone. Thanks for watching.